Hello and welcome to Ferris Sports Update. I'm your host, Rob Bentley, and thanks for tuning in. On today's show this week, we'll check in with the spring sports as Ferris State softball, track and field, and tennis all in action this past weekend. We'll start first, though, with Bulldog Softball and joined by head coach Kristin Janes. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Obviously, speaking of busy, your team has been very busy, 8 games in the past week, and you've been on the field almost every day during that stretch.
We have, when these games are getting backed up because of weather, we get them in when we can and sometimes get to play a lot of ball in a little bit of time.
Fortunately, you're one of the teams that have not lost any games here due to weather. You've been able to find a way to work it into the schedule and get all these games played.
We have, some teams are easier to work with than others, and the ones that we've had to make up, we've got them in this past week when we had a little bit nicer weather, so we're glad to be back on track.
You had a couple home games against Purdue Northwest last week, then on the road at Wayne State, at Northwood, 3 straight doubleheaders before you came back to take on Grand Valley State. In those 3 doubleheaders, it seemed like you were very effective, at least in game 2 of those doubleheaders.
We were. It seems to be our strong suit this year is if we don't come out quite as much as we won in the first game, we are able to rebound really well and come back strong, and we won all 3 of those games that second game.
One of those games, an extra inning win over Wayne State, a team that was ranked number 20 in the country.
The girls came out ready to go. It was a brutally cold day, and they didn't seem to let it bother them at all. We were focused, and, bats were hot. Girls played solid defense, and we had some good pitching.
You wrapped up the weekend on Sunday back at home against Grand Valley State, and another team that was high in the national rankings at number 6 in the nation. Yeah,
they're good every year, and we absolutely loved playing them because, you want to be the best, you need to play the best. And game 1, the girls came out with no fear. Close one, 3-1, but couldn't be prouder of how they played in that game.
Obviously, facing a very good pitcher for Grand Valley State that has a lot of experience in that game 1.
Leposki, she's been there, she's done this. She's a senior, a couple-time All-American, and we came out and put 7 hits up on the board, scored a run against her. She's not given up very many and had multiple other opportunities with runners in scoring position. So we're hoping game 2 against her is going to be a little different story.
Obviously, nice weather, great crowd on hand to cheer on your team against Grand Valley State.
It was wonderful. We've got the best fans here, and with our ballpark, it gives us an opportunity to have people surrounding the field in all areas to cheer the girls on, and we were packed, so it was great.
Obviously 3-1 in game 1, then game 2, they got off to a good start, and it seemed like you were trying to rally back the entire way and had some opportunities.
We did. The one thing about this team is they never give up. It doesn't matter what the score is, who we're playing. They keep pushing, and that shows. Even though we lost the ball game, we scored runs there at the end, and that just shows their drive and their determination to win no matter what's going on.
For the kids, how important are games like that when you've got a chance to take on your rival? Obviously, a rivalry that carries over amongst every sport here at the Division II level.
It does, and it carries over from sport to sport too. So when you get other teams coming out and watching and cheering you on against your big one, it makes the games even more exciting and fun to play.
Obviously, a lot of kids on both teams. They're from West Michigan or Michigan in general, and a lot of players that know each other on both sides of the rivalry.
They do. They come in either playing travel ball or high school together, playing against one another, and again, it just makes that rivalry that much more competitive and wanting to win.
Obviously, I know after you get through that Grand Valley State series, you don't have a whole lot of time to rest. On the road again here as you take on Parkside here early this week, and then a couple more road contests coming up this weekend at Purdue Northwest and Davenport.
We do. Parkside, this is going to be our very first time traveling up there and playing against them, trying to get the game in before the snow comes for them. So the girls, they're ready to bounce back from one-day rest, and that's it. And then, later this week, 2 very competitive games for, very winnable games against really good conference opponents.
Obviously, you've seen all these teams, all 3 of these teams this week once before, now into round 2 here. What do you take from those first matchups here into the second meeting with these teams?
I think we take the positive things that we did in game 2 with each one of those opponents, and we carry those into game 1. So everything from strategical standpoint, from me pitch calling to, our girls coming with their approaches at the plate, knowing what those pitchers are going to throw at them.
Obviously, a long stretch here with games on the road this week, but back at home next week. You play 6 of your final 8 games at home here in the regular season.
We do. That's exciting. It's nice to have 3 games all in 1 week. It's supposed to be nice weather that we can get everybody out, get the girls excited, getting ramped up for the GLIAC tournament here at the end of the month.
Obviously, the GLIAC tournament in Sandusky, Ohio, and your team in a very strong position to make the conference tournament and hopefully make a nice run here at the end of the year.
We are, and it's going to be a close one. I think probably positions 3 through 7 are going to be separated by 1, maybe 2 games from each one of those positions in the rankings. So each game is going to be really important, and like I said, I think the girls are ready.
At this time of the year, how flexible do your kids have to be in terms of some of the weather impacting games and the schedules? And obviously, you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next.
We don't, and we're very different than most other sports in the fact that our games can get canceled and moved quite a bit. And so I think the girls do a fabulous job of being flexible, communicating with their professors, and really getting their work done when they've got that time so they can go and focus on games when we do get to play.
Talk about how your team maybe has improved since that trip to Florida, going back to March, and now into the heart of the conference schedule.
They have improved exponentially. At this time last year, I believe we had won 2 conference games, and right now we've won 7, and that's a huge step in the right direction. That just points to the great leadership of our upperclassmen and the talent that our underclassmen are adding, to what we had prior to this year. I think in all areas of the game, we're getting more confident, we're getting stronger, and the girls are really learning the strategy and executing that.
You mentioned those underclassmen. How have they adjusted here to the collegiate game here later on in the year?
It's a quick game in comparison to the high school and the competitive ball game. And so at the beginning of the season, it is a transition for the freshmen, for the junior college transfers. And I think they've really gotten themselves up to speed. Playing the game at our pace, I think, is definitely something that allows you to be successful.
What will it take to go on the road this week and hopefully come back with some nice wins here and maybe put a streak together?
I think it is. It's playing our game, going on all 3 sides of the game, playing our strategy, our pace, and us dictating the game, making the other team uncomfortable. And I think we are very capable of going and taking all 6 games this week.
Talk about maybe your goals here going into the end of the year and hopefully into the conference tournament.
We would like to split every road game, and we would like to sweep every home game. That's a huge thing if we're able to do that. And that's going to help us gain momentum moving forward. And those sweeps on the road do come too, and that's only going to help prepare us for when we go into that double elimination tournament at the end.
How much confidence does some of the wins you've had this year, like that win over Wayne State, a nationally ranked team, give your team going into this final stretch of the season?
I think it's a huge booster, and even that loss against Grand Valley, that proves and that shows that we can play against anybody, and anyone can beat anyone on any given day. So the girls are seeing, if they're able to put to use the strategy that we're teaching them, that they're going to be able to beat anybody they face.
Well, Coach, thanks for being with us here today. Best of luck. Another busy stretch here on the road before you return home back next week.
Yeah, thanks so much.
We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.